Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I want to do a video about settling and what that looks like and what that feels like. I know I'm settling because I can feel something underneath me coming up, and I'm getting agitated, I'm getting irritated, and it feels like I'm meant to be grateful, but I'm frustrated. So like that's when I know I'm settling, because it means I'm getting too comfortable. It means I need to start getting serious. It means I've probably fallen off the wagon in somewhere of my routine or my discipline, and I got a little comfortable. And this is like thinking that I could have a coffee with cream in it more than 2 days in a row, which leads to 3 days in a row. And then I got to come back off that caffeine and the coffee. And even if it's like, sometimes it's just like a decaf with the dairy really does it for me. And what I'm trying to do is like implement more movement in my body so that some of these items hopefully don't affect me as much, because it's so structured that there are times when you need something a little bit extra. But I'm trying to find those extras that don't affect my body, like that are healthy substitutes for some of these other things that I really love. It's like I just can't do dairy, but I love dairy, but dairy does not love me. And it's like unrequited love with dairy. God, I love cheesecake, but it's like I can't do it. And I'm not, so like when you're in transition, that's the problem. Is like when you fall into like kind of like that comfort zone where it feels like, you're telling yourself, I deserve a reward for what? That's just an excuse. That's the devil in a disguise. That's temptation, saying I deserve a reward for doing what I'm doing. No, I don't. It's called self-love. And my body is craving it, and my body needs it, and it's part of the puzzle to becoming successful and financially free and happy and content in life. And so when you're getting squeezed, that can be times where we fall onto those things. We're just like, this is feeling like too much. I'm getting frustrated. I have to focus on being consistent instead of falling off. And it's so challenging. And part of the lesson of this is not falling so far, not falling so often, and then also recognizing before the fall so you don't do it. And so, and also having, compassion for yourself if you do, choose something outside of your if this is like eating sugar. I had a muffin at Tim Hortons and I was craving the blueberries. And so, okay, so sometimes in order to avoid the fall, I look at what I'm craving. So it's about practicing the pause as well and be like, okay, what am I really craving right now? So if I'm craving like peanut butter, it's, I think it's like, I don't know off the top of my head. I usually have to do a quick Google. So I'm going to be making something where it's like a quick reference, and then I can provide that for you guys if you're interested. So there's something when I'm craving the peanut butter, it's like I want to feel full, but it's like to me, instead of fat, that's like I need protein. That's me saying I need protein. I'm craving like, but it's also the carbs. So it's like it's usually after I did a too intense of a workout that it's like what feels good is a banana and peanut butter. Those are great combinations. That's a comfort food for me, right? But and while it can be helpful when I'm working out intensely, I gotta get the protein in there. But I don't feel like eating the protein. The protein isn't comfort for me. The protein feels like chewing on meat I don't want to eat. It kind of brings me back to childhood when I was at the dinner table chewing on a piece of steak in my cheek and I was not allowed to leave until I chewed. But it's, right? The peanut butter and the banana are fast energy, and that's sweet, right? That's comfort. But then the protein, when I have to prep the protein, or I have to get better at making the proteins because I'm not good with meat. Like I don't know how to season it. I don't really know how to cook it so it falls apart, because I don't want to chew it. I want it to fall apart. And so I haven't put the time and effort into invest in those proteins. So like I'm eating a lot of eggs. And eggs are wonderful, but they get a little bit meh after a while. But I am learning how to make homemade mayo. And so I want to make like, I just thought like I wouldn't mind making deviled eggs and getting some bacon in there, or some like ground, sausage or something on top, and doing that. So I gotta add some menu items, like, and so they're not too challenging, because right now I don't have the space. I'm already doing so much other stuff that I don't have the space for too much new right now. Like I don't really have the patience and the time for like new recipes right now, but I do need to make more time for putting together new menu items like that I can eat and go to that are quick and things that I can make often. And so like deviled eggs, I love deviled eggs. I don't know why I don't make them more often. And you can put different spins on them, and I love mustard. So why am I not doing that, right? So that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I'm gonna go get the grocery store. And so I'm trying to figure out, there are things, I started with blueberries. I really want some blueberries. And so what am I gonna make for that craving? I don't know. I gotta figure out something with blueberries. And I need like healthy grains that are slow to, you know, digest, like oats. Not too much oats because they can be like, they can add weight, you know, which weight is fine if you need weight. I don't need weight right now, but I do need something that is like sustainable. So I need something that, like, you know, I need that fiber to make me feel full, but also, and the protein. So I need like protein, and I want pancakes, but when I have the pancakes, it makes me think of syrup. So I can't do that because I do have maple syrup. And I was having like, I already had a couple pancake days, and I try to partner that with protein, but it's just still not good enough. It's still like, I still all-purpose flour. And I still need, like, I need even easier than that, which sounds horrible because like, but that's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm trying to do all these things, and I just don't have a lot of time for too many extra dishes. There is the corner kitchen, but the problem I'm having with the corner kitchen is this is just a different agenda. And like, you know, they're looking to like keep people fed and full, but I'm trying to build strength. So I need more protein, and I really can't do like like we had pasta today, like macaroni, and it had lots of ground beef in it, which is great. And it had tomato sauce, which is good for potassium. I think it is in there. But it's just still a lot of pasta. Not to complain. I'm just saying, like, this is, I'm really trying to get way more protein than carbs right now. So when I'm settling, it's like, it's telling me like I'm getting too comfortable and I need to keep moving. So something's gonna happen. If I don't want a tower moment to happen, I gotta get up and get going. I gotta recognize, okay, I can feel it coming on. It's like a rainstorm for those people who, like, when their joints start to hurt, I can start to feel it. There's some sort of like unsettling feeling. I'm getting, I'm not feeling, what is it? I'm not feeling satisfied with my situation, and it's different than gratitude. I'm grateful for the time and space that I'm having to heal, but I also want to make the most of it, and I have to keep moving. I can't, like, you know what, it's kind of like, okay, great, you fucked up, you ate a Tim Hortons muffin, you had a couple coffees. I went out to eat the other night with my daughter, and I got sushi, but it was like, I'm not eating any more raw sushi. I can't do that. I can't risk getting parasites in my digestive tract if my digestive tract is vulnerable. You know, if I don't have that biome developed, if I don't have a healthy place yet for the healthy ones, I can't introduce like negative ones. And that's kind of how I think. Like, if I'm in transition, so I can't fall into temptation with like potentially dangerous, you know, situations, substances, environments, or people. So I'm not making friends right now. I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking to connect with people, even though I do want strongly to connect. I have a craving to connect, but that just tells me I need to, you know, invest more in me, because I don't like that sort of like addictive quality that comes up when I'm like, you know what, I just really would love the idea of a cuddle on the couch. That sounds wonderful. It sounds very comforting. So I've got myself scheduled for a massage to work out my muscles so I can keep my body moving. So that's kind of like how I partner that off. And then I just try to focus more on like giving more time to myself, focusing more on what I can do for my dogs instead of thinking about giving myself outside of my home base. And like I said, I went out with my daughter on Sunday and we spent some time. It was nice because I'm trying to, I'm very, I can be very helicopter, is that a helicopter parent? Where I'm always trying to like advise and slip it in there. And I'm just trying to get her to think about her decisions, and she's catching me. So it sounds horrible, but that's what I'm trying to do, because I'm like, oh God, like, it's kind of like a buyer beware before you enter the situation. She's like, I know what I'm doing, Mom. I'm like, oh, they all do, but I did too. But you know what? It's like, I gotta let her learn. I can't keep like hovering and insinuating, because that's not good for her either. And so I really try to focus on our visit, just enjoying her company instead of trying to like micromanage her behavior, right? Like, because she's grown and she's doing really well on her own without me, like, getting in there. Um, and I think that's just a natural thing of a parent at times. Is like, there are parents who want to overly control, but I being parented by a parent who is overly controlling about what other people think and how I look to them and appear and how it might portray on their job as a parent. um, I know that I did what I could in with what I had, and that she's going to make a lot of great decisions on her own, because her foundation is of, um, you know, love and support. Like, it's very, I didn't create everything different as a parent, but I really tried to do things differently as a parent, and I do think I succeeded in doing better than my parents, but I still, misstepped often. And I'm here for when that happens. So when she feels like she can't figure that out, then she's going to figure it out, and I'm here for that. I'm here for guidance and support when it's requested. Otherwise, I'm just hanging out and spending time, and we spend time doing things that we enjoy, and that's where we're at. So I don't know where that came up, but because it's like, yeah, when you start to feel like you're focusing too much on other people, that's a sign you got to bring it back in on yourself. Like, if you feel like you're like, I can see what that person needs to do, I know what that person needs to do, that's a sign where you need to redirect it at yourself. You've got if you've got too much time to like there's one thing to like, for me, I'm like observing where I'm at, and the people I'm around and the environment I'm in, and that's how I can tell I'm settling. If I feel like I'm pulling teeth in order to get to know people, I feel like I'm doing all the work, like where I have to always say hi first. Like, I'm a very don't speak until I'm spoken to kind of person. And unless I'm like, just walking on the street and I'll say hi to a stranger, like that kind of stuff, I don't mind. But I don't want to burden anybody with myself. And I felt like I was a burden growing up, and so I don't want to make people feel like I'm stepping on them. And so I kind of do the opposite, and I hang back and I just wait for people to talk to me. But I always have like a kind smile, and I'm there to catch people's eyes, and like, so if we're in the same room, like, I'm not going to sit there and like hermit myself away for the most part, but I will be like, I'm open and receiving, and I'm friendly. But there are environments where I don't feel like I'm given that same sort of like energy back. And it doesn't have to be like ill intention. It's just not, they're just not in a place. And I don't care. I don't, like, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. I'm not offended for that, but I'm also not gonna reach across the room to pull you closer to my line. That's work. That's flexing my muscles. That's working my muscles. Like, and metaphorically, even like energetically, it's like, you know what? If you're over there, you're making eye contact to me, and it's almost like an invitation of me to come over to you. It's just not, I'm not going to run across the room to be like, oh, hey, you want to talk? Because, like, think about what that's going to be like for me every time. If like I am being pulled in, that's like that's an emotional kind of like move. Like, I'm showing you interest, I'm watching you, I'm trying to be around you, but I'm never going to say something. Like, I'm going to wait on you to say something. And then I have no problem making that first move, saying something. But when now it feels like I'm the one always saying something and always needing to reach out to get clarity, and feeling like I always have to carry a conversation, like, I found that's what I was getting the results on online dating. Like, this, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm just talking, it can be anybody. It can be like coworkers, any environment where you're there and there's any sort of like some sort of like communication and conversation happening, where you're meant to like, kind of connect with people, or there's an opportunity to connect with people. You don't have to, but I'm just saying, I just feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm in transition and trying to get to a better place. That's the transition, if anyone's wondering. It's just trying to get to financial freedom. I had a guy tell me that I look like a boy. Why do I dress like a boy? Because I was doing a live on a Sunday, and I had my hoodie. I think I even had this hoodie on, something like this, and then I had a toque on, and his name was Josh. I remember. Why do you dress like a boy? Why are you trying to look like a boy? And I'm like, this is just me. And honestly, I was just trying to this is part of settling too, because you know what? I was just trying to look for, I want some racer back tank tops. And I used to have some kick-ass ones when I was younger. I can't find the good quality. All they are is like, I want some sort of like containment of my body, but I don't want it so tight that you're gonna see when I inhale and exhale every time. Like I don't need to see everything, you know? Like I would but I also don't like it, I don't want it to be like the mommy tank, where it's just like, there's so much room in the stomach area and there's no definition, and like I'm not defined quite as I'm gonna be, but at the same time I would like something in between, and they're just so long and I'm so short. So it's really hard to find clothes. And I did just find, I know this is getting off topic, it is what it is, it's who I am. I was walking the dogs last night, and I messaged my daughter, I'm like, I was wondering if I could borrow her sewing machine and if she was using it, because I'm like, I don't know if she's using it. And then I was walking the dogs last night, was it last night? Maybe it was the night before, Saturday night, because I remember thinking, who was going to take this Saturday night? They're not out looking for a sewing machine, because I had to walk the dogs and then come back and get it. Someone had left a sewing machine out on the curb, and I was like, yes. And it was like, but folded in like a table, like, you know, and it's sewing table. And it needs to be repaired, of course, and it's in a little bit of rough shape, but it's not really the table that I need, it's like the sewing machine. Because I have some projects I want to do. I want to put some window blinds up in my kitchen because it's open to the neighbors. And I do want to put up some trees for privacy this summer. I don't know where I'm going to get money for that, but I'm going to figure it out, because I just want to enjoy my backyard without being watched. And I'm not insinuating that they're watching me. I'm sure they have much better things to do, but it's a preference I have to just feel like I have privacy in my backyard, you know? And yeah, so I'm just getting to the point where I'm just like, I don't know, like, do I just start making my own clothes? It's really hard to find the clothes that I want, and I just don't have time to make my own clothes right now. But I'm kind of like, you know what, I just have a pair of joggers that I love, and they're worn through, and so I'm going to keep them so I can take them apart with my thread ripper, my whatever, string ripper. What does he call it? I don't know. You know, seam ripper. This is where you learn to laugh at yourself, because like I used to have all this information up here, and now I can't find it. I don't know where it went. I'm sure it's up there. It's just hard to find it because it's, you know, there's a lot of chaos I've been through, and I'm just still like, you know, winding up the strings that have been tangled up in there. And so I'm going to use my favorite pants, and I can't find them online anymore. They're Campus Crew. Campus Crew is so weird. They're like a catalog now. And so I'm just going to make my own pants. I'm going to go get some material from the fabric store. I'm going to rip these things apart in the best way possible so I can reuse the pieces and make my own joggers. And they're called boyfriend sweats. And I don't have a boyfriend, but I need some sweats. So I'm going to make my own at some point. And I'm hoping it's easier than, you know when you just need something easy? That's what I need. I need my blinds to come together. I have an idea of where you pull the string and it pulls them up by lap, so layer level. And so like sometimes I just don't want to see the neighbors' cars and stuff, and I just want to see my garden. And sometimes I don't want to, you know, sometimes I want the window open a lot. And so that's what I'm going to put in the kitchen. But then sometimes at night I want it closed all the way, because like people can see me in my kitchen and I can't see them. And it's not that I want to see them. I just don't want them to see me. So that is so settling is that's my brain. Yeah, I'm getting in settling is like getting too comfortable, and you know it, and you're just like, okay, so it's learning to read your energy and be like, okay, I gotta start, like, okay, refocus. What am I working on? Where am I falling off the path? Okay, what is my goal? More energy, right? Why am I tired? So whenever I involve caffeine, I know that, so there are times when I use caffeine because there's a bunch of things I'm trying to get caught up on. And to me, I don't think that's a big issue. The only problem is when I can't stop the caffeine and then I get back on it for too long. It's when I'm on caffeine, I can't tell when my levels of B vitamins are low and or iron, because like caffeine gives you a false sense of energy. So that's where I used to consume this stuff all the time, cups of it at a time. And so like I would be running off caffeine, and then that's kind of where you don't realize how bad things are and how tired you are and how low and deficient you are in certain areas because you've been running on caffeine this whole time and not your natural stores of energy. And so it's almost like I feel like the caffeine kind of bypasses, and then that's when you're like, where'd all my vitamin B12 go? And when did I have some last time? You know? And and same with iron, right? So it's like a false sense of security. And I think that's what our comfort zone can be, is a false sense of security, because we place ourselves in these environments in order to find resources or support. But I don't know, I think they're like they're meant to be a temporary support, like a stepping stone on, and like maybe a couple of stepping stones to kind of get your build yourself, you know. Maybe it's, you know, I go to the community kitchen to do certain things, like, you know, when I'm working, it's hard for me to like do too many things at once because I am overwhelmed and I've taken on too many projects. So I'm trying to clear up my project list to simplify things. So that's where sometimes I'll use caffeine to like, I think I had it when I did the mulch, because I just had to get up and go. And I knew I was going to be working out a lot, so I thought that would benefit, like it'd be okay. But then I had it on the Sunday too. So mulch in the garden on Saturday, like I just monstered it out in the yard, and I got so much done. I did it because of that caffeine. But my body, I felt it the next day, but it was okay. It was just enough. I don't think I overdid it. And I have a massage on Wednesday, which is 2 birds, 1 stone, because I'm still trying to stretch and do all that stuff, and I'm getting better at that, and I'm getting better at adding all these balls in to like juggle them, but I'm not perfect at it. I'm just kind of like, I feel like this is how I've done it up to this point. It's like I just keep adding more and more, and just realizing when, okay, maybe that was too much. You know, like had I done 2 days of mulch in a row, that would have been too much and I would have been out. But it snowed on the Sunday, so I anticipated doing it on the Sunday, depending on how I felt. But it snowed, and I said, no, okay, today's not a mulch day. Yesterday was, today's not. Today's a rest day. And then that's when I hung out with the daughter, and I had fun, and I enjoyed her company. And it wasn't, you know, it was just very light, and it didn't feel like I had to do anything. I just spent time with her, which is what my kids needed more of me from when they're younger, instead of me trying to run my world and, you know, do everything and yet nothing at the same time, it felt like. So the caffeine, unfortunately, if it's not used properly, there should be a warning on it, can get you running into the wrong rooms for the wrong reason, because it's like a false sense of security. So like running off of caffeine can tell you you've got more energy than you actually have. And so when you start these projects that you think you have enough energy for, you can find yourself like running out of that energy, and then like finding yourself like with another unfinished project. So I also have to look at, when I do start building my own energy stores again, you can get that sort of like spring fever, and you got to be careful how you use that new, it's like, you know, when you have a cold and then you finally get that day where you're like, I feel great, and you've been sick for so many days, and you finally get that first day of like energy, and then you want to like clean up the house, get the sick smell out, you know, you want to clean all this stuff. Like for me, when I'm sick, like there's gonna be a pile of snot rags. The dishes I'm not gonna do. I'm probably not gonna eat that much though, but I just want to, when I'm sick, just let me be sick. And I mean, I don't know what it feels like to be taken care of, but I don't really want people around, like witnessing me, like when I have snot rags up my nose. I don't know. I mean, I haven't met someone like that wants to come back for more of that. So I just feel like when I'm sick, I'm sick, and I just need that time to recover. But then like, because I just want to rest. That's all I want to do, is when I'm sick, I want to sleep. That makes sense. That's what people want to do. That's what we need to be doing. And so, but you got to be careful. So like when I get the first day back, and you get and now you can breathe, and you've allowed yourself to sleep, that first day of energy can feel like, I can rule the world, and like you want to go around and do everything, but you can't. And so that's part of like when you get off the caffeine and you're trying to get back on it, it's challenging to go between like the rest and then the recovery, where you're meant to slowly, gradually build yourself back up. so that if you race into it too fast, you'll fail, because it's like working out too hard and then, not realizing that you're deficient on your electrolytes and things like that. And then you pull muscles that have not been used. And like, if you're real about it, these muscles have not been pushed and pressed for years the way that you just did in Tae Bo. But I want the Tae Bo, right? Because we want the results that Tae Bo gives us. But if our body can't handle the Tae Bo, it's a fail. And then too many failures can be too much. So that's also why it's important to recognize when you're settling too, because when you settle in the wrong room, that tower is going to show up, and it's going to hit. And I've learned, when I stay too long and what was meant to be a rest period and a rest stop, along the way, and that it sounds harsh, but I don't know that these people are meant to move forward with you. And that can be sad, because you know what? I feel for people. It's like, I see you and I want to come back for you, because I feel like, you know what? Like, let's go. But the thing is, when you're in transition, you can't carry people with you. You're already doing so much as it is. You're already trying to manage yourself. You're trying to avoid temptation. You're trying to learn new patterns. You're trying to unlearn old ones. Like, there's a lot going on. You still have your responsibilities. I still have 2 dogs. I still have 2 kids that are adults, but they're my priorities. And so I just can't pick up, it's like, what do you call that? Like hitchhikers on the way. It's just, think of that. The people, like, until you get to that place where you can exhale and really rest, and like things are running without you having to run it, like, you know what I mean? Like, to a certain degree, where things are coming in effortlessly, money outside of, like, is coming into your home effortlessly while you're doing the work, but it's, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like you're pulling teeth. You need to get to the point of feeling like you're not pulling teeth. That's the room you need to be in. Like, wow, this is my space. Okay. People see me. People value me. It's like an equal give and take. Until you're there, that is what I consider a transition. And it's painful, because I do meet so many people along the way, and I'm just like, I just want to bring you, and I want to bring you, and I want to bring you, but I can't bring you, because I don't even know how to get there myself quite yet. And so I'm already tired. Like, I already was tired when I began this. And like, part of this journey and this transition is rest, is learning how to rest. And some people just, you know what? It's kind of like I'm so, I've been alone for so long. It's like I have to be careful when I feel that pull towards people, where it's just like, I want this to be effortless and I want it to be easy. But when you realize it's not going to be an equal give and take, you're just like, oh, that kind of sucks. Like, the disappointment, it's challenging when those towers are betrayal energy. But when you learn to recognize, like, you know what, it's not you, it's just the situation. And you know what, it's not that it makes them a bad person. It just says, you know what, you're not for me. We're not on the same path. We don't have the same goals. So like, it's not that I have to like block those people or say, I don't have to be rude or like cold. I just have to acknowledge where the boundaries here are. I can't get too close right at this point. And like I said, I don't know if at some point when I get more, into a place where I'm more stable and solid with my finances and, my to-do list, then I can go back and like, give more time to other people. And I don't know, I would assume that's my intention, is to like get myself to like dry land, if that makes sense. And then when I'm stable, then I can have more to give back to people. And so, but until then, like, I got to get myself to dry land so I can pull more people up. That's what I think of, like, so I can say, hey, this is how I did it. So like, sometimes it's challenging to put videos out there because I feel like I'm learning. And then like, sometimes I'm changing my assumptions that I've made, or even just how I articulate it and how I say it, because there's things like, I don't want to offend people, but at the same time, I think truth needs to be spoken, even if it comes across like, nobody likes the idea of like, I can't take you with me. Like, we're both humans. We're meant to elevate, all of us, but I can't take you with me. Like, that sounds judgy. That sounds, like a tier system. And for me, it's not that. It's like, I need to get myself to safety so I can help provide for others. I need to get my head above water. If my head's underwater and yours is too, we're both going down. Like, one of us needs to get up and then, hopefully bring the other one up, is how I see it. And I feel like we can learn so much from each other too. But at the same time, I also have to recognize like I have an addictive behavior towards attention because I have been so isolated and neglected throughout my whole life. It's very easy for me to get comfortable in what feels like kindness, but can sometimes be a neediness. And like I said, that's not, I'm not saying I'm being unkind to individuals. It's just like I can't connect like I would if I was financially stable at the time, if that makes sense. So that's just where I'm at. And so settling says keep it moving. You're feeling something, you're getting pissed off, you're getting frustrated with like things that aren't happening. And so I made a video before if things aren't happening, but it's also like, okay, so like it means like you need to amp it up a bit. Like you're like, it's like you get that momentum going. Okay, like you get more serious about this. Stop saying hi to everybody, you know, like you know what, if you're going to get food at the community kitchen, go get the food and get out, and then get working on your stuff at home. Because there's some times where I'm getting distracted and I'm just getting a little bit too comfortable, and that's what I feel like that is. And it sucks because like we're humans and like some aspect of us requires connection. But like I said, when you talk about that connection, it can be very draining if it's connected to the wrong person, and where it can feel like I'm giving more and they're giving less. And so I've recognized when I'm in a room like this, there's usually like a from what I've experienced, there's like a leader. Like there's I experienced like it resembles my family to a certain degree. It's like there's a man, there's a woman, and then there's coworkers. And so like there's a boss, there's like a team lead, and then there's like coworkers, which I deem as like siblings and stuff, you know, cousins. I know it sounds odd, but that's just how I see things. So like I look at it like, this is my family home. How is this room still resembling aspects of my family home that I grew up in, that I was unhappy in? And then I also look at this space and I say, if I had the money if I was financially free, would I be spending my time doing this, right? And so I also have to look at my activities during the day in my house as well. Like I'm sitting here and I'm watching, you know, I'm zoning out to screens. And while some part of that is resting my muscles because I just did a workout on Saturday, that makes sense. But at the same time, could I be stretching? Could I be doing something else? Now at the same time too, this is like where you got to figure this out for yourself. Like sometimes if you grow too fast, it's too much. Like you take on too much information. And that's why I also got to watch my screen time, because when I'm learning a lot and I'm watching videos to learn things about like gardening and everything like that too, like I don't have the mental capacity to be watching all this other shit. And a lot of the shit is like past videos and content that I used to watch. And so it's also feeling like it's not hitting like it used to, but that used to be a substance of choice, was screening certain content where it's always talking about the other person and how they're the problem, which that is partially true. They were part of the problem, but so was I. And so I just don't enjoy that content where it's always like one-sided. And so at first it was very validating for me, and now it's feeling kind of like, oh, I just can't listen to it anymore because they're not talking about the other side of the coin. And that for me is part of the dynamic. And so where I compare that to is like, yeah, in this room, am I required to do, like, while I'm certain things, like you're receiving, and it's great and it's support, but at the same time, if there's something about this environment that is still it's not feeling like home in a good way, as opposed to home like the old way. Like if I know I'm in the wrong room if I can't present my full version. You know, if I feel like I have to tiptoe around people, if I feel like I'm not accepted, like, you know, it's interesting. Some people they'll say you're safe, there's no judgment here, and you know, you're free to be whatever. And it's like, you know, they use all these words, but it's still very controlled environment. You know that they're not fully accepting of certain things. You know that, and while we're all entitled to our own belief system, you know that I don't know, it's just like such a weird thing. It's like, you know, when you're in a room and they're like, oh no, you're safe here, and you're like, I just saw a predator fucking walk by, like right across the room. How am I safe here? If you don't recognize that guy as a predator, I'm not safe here. So that's how I know I'm in the wrong room. Are there predators there? Yeah. Are there people who are very comfortable? Yes. Why? Because I'm recognizing that you're comfortable. That means I'm too comfortable. I gotta go. If there's a predator that's still approaching me, it means I'm not my full version. I don't feel safe to be my full version in this room. I gotta go, because I can no longer tolerate being a prey to predator, and I can't keep doing all the work for other people by feeling the need to like pull teeth to get to know you, to create conversation, to create connection. It's just not fair. It's what I've had to carry everyone else's emotional burden since I was born. I'm not about to do it for complete strangers. I'm no longer doing it for family. I no longer have an interest in reconciling with people from my past. Like, you just get to a point where you're just done. And so like when you're done, you also, you know, get done sooner with these cycles. So like that's what you're feeling. It's like, okay, I'm feeling, and so it's confusing because you're meant to feel, you know, you're going to get messages of gratitude while you're settling. You're going to be like, what the heck am I grateful here? This is so frustrating. But it's because you've been given the space to grow. And what you're doing is you're relearning your 0 to 5 years in order to build off that, is what I believe. Like in some sort of way, it's like things that you weren't taught when you were 0 to 5. Like these are the things, like you're unlearning that and you're having to relearn and build on that. So that is odd because you're having to do it as an adult around other adults in an adult world with adult responsibilities. And now you're trying to like reparent yourself. Like that's a weird place to be. It's a vulnerable place to be. Because in order to get there, you have to grieve everything that you've always been through. And then you have to look at your belief systems, and those are changing. And so that's why when you leave that last room where it's like, I can never go back, there's still going to be little baby mini challenges along the way where you just have to recognize, okay, this isn't like, you know what, this isn't as bad as that last room I left, but these are still kind of like tests and like moments where you know what, like I still need to learn how to speak up for myself. And because there are times where I was in a room and I'm like, this isn't my home, this isn't my property, and they've invited guests in here, and so I don't feel comfortable. Like if they ask to sit down, I feel like it's not my table, it's not my seat, it's not my property. I can't tell you no, but I could say no. But I felt like the people who were running the room, I was already getting something from them that wasn't very welcoming energy, so I didn't feel like I would be supported if I spoke at what I really wanted to say. That's a sign I'm in the wrong room. I need to keep it moving. So while it's like kind of like a pit stop along the way, it's not meant to be like, you're meant to do what you're needing to do and then keep it moving. And when I keep it moving, I say, you know what, this, like I said, I stayed in relationships and workplaces for too long because of money, right? So now, like, my money is tight, and so like if I'm staying in a room, you know, where it's like, it's not, you know, I'm trying to really focus and stay consistent and blinders on about what I'm eating, so I don't fall into like, there's temptation everywhere. I don't need temptation. There's enough of it. So like, why walk into a room where there's temptation? So if that means, you know what, I'm gonna have to, you know, focus on buying my own groceries and like not going into areas where it's easy for me to get a hot chocolate. You know, it's easy for me to get a coffee, and it's comfortable. That environment feels comfortable. I feel like I can let my guard down. That's still not, I don't feel safe there. And it's that could be challenging for some people to understand. And it's because some of these environments are meant to be safe, and I just don't see them, for me, in my opinion, and where I'm at, it doesn't feel safe. And so I realized, you know what, this is fine while it lasted, but it's time to move. And yeah, so that's how I determine when I'm settling and looking at it like, is this a money thing? And because like, when I leave that environment, that's going to give me that push I need to go after what I need to get for my financial freedom. And if that does mean going back in a 9 to 5, but doing it differently, I don't know. If it means, you know, I'm trying to get my content out there, I'm trying to make an income that way, however long that's going to take. But if I don't do it, I'm never going to get it. So I got to start it, you know, even if it's not, you know, even if my expectation is short of what I achieve, at least I'm starting it. And instead of sitting there saying, this isn't going to work, that'll never get that done in time. Like, what if it gets me somewhere else? What if it's a stepping stone? You know, what if I don't get subscribers, but I get a stepping stone to something else? You know what I mean? So like, I gotta try. I gotta go for the gold. and see where I fall, and then find out like what more do I need, and is that still the direction I want to go, and how can I make this better? And I don't know, like some of my videos, I'm sure they're like all over the place, and so I have to get better at formatting them. I'm never going to learn how to do that if I don't put out the video. If I don't try, if I don't go, if I don't put myself in action. And so like it's this settling and the comfort is what keeps us stuck, and it's safe. It feels safe. See, this is where our emotions get in there. It feels safe because we're used to it. That's fast energy. That's pattern. That's old patterns. So slow energy says, okay, I got to move in this direction. I'm uncertain. I'm scared. I'm frustrated that I have to make this move without a safety net. But that's slow. That's new learning. That's new. A new path is forged, which means we're doing something different in our mind, and we're pressing ourselves and we're pushing ourselves, and we're going to create something new, whatever that looks like. It's not old. Like, think about where you came from, the old. Do you really want to go back into that? Who wants old? Like, this isn't an age old. This is a old patterns. You've been there. I've had 46 years of old patterns. Why the fuck do I want to go back to that? I remember those last 46 years. And the only good things were things around my kids, pets, loving my home. There's a handful of people that were kind to me. And I remember certain people that, I appreciate who they were and what they offered. But for the majority, I just remember a lot of pain from there. And while I'm learning from it and I'm turning into blessings, I don't want to go back to those patterns. I don't like feeling like a potato. I hate feeling like a potato. When I eat dairy, I feel like a potato. When I drink caffeine consistently, I feel like a potato. When I eat sugar, I feel tired. I get constipated. I feel like shit. I get headaches. Why the fuck do I want to go back to that? So remember the why as well. And like I said, that gratitude is like not necessarily like, this isn't like not to sit there and be like, I'm grateful I have a house and this is all I can expect. No. Gratitude is to say, you know what? Thank you, God, for the space that you're allowing me to have to rest, recover, and educate and do different. That's what I'm grateful for. And so I'm going to make the most of it. I don't want to waste this. I don't want to get comfortable. This is not to get comfortable. There's an intention to this resting period. It's to give you the insight that you need to do better, to become better, not to go back to old patterns. You can't go back. You literally can't go back. Try doing this, and like when I go to look at, I mean, if I have to, I will, but it's going to be quite challenging to have to go back into the working world and the 9 to 5 of factory life, knowing what I know now, like, and then trying to, like, you feel like you have to like shrink yourself into that zone. Like, I just can't go back there, but I'm going to need easy. And that's not easy. It's easier at this point to go forward because I'm getting so much clarity in this space of rest and recovery that it's like I have all the reasons as why I can't go back. And I have all the reasons as why I need to go forward. And that's what's going to now push me once I get past that halfway point. Like, I can't go back now. It's closed. That's closed off. It's closed off to me. And those people are closed off to me. So that's kind of how I see it. Like, and I remember like, when I was following Alex Hormozi, he would make a comment like, put yourself in a situation where you have no option but to succeed. And that's what I'm doing. When I recognize that I'm selling and that I'm comfortable, I have to say no to that, even though it's still an option. It's kind of like, you can be in a relationship and someone comes up to you and like they're going to tempt you. And just because whatever the situation may be, like they may have something that your partner doesn't have that you could deem like valuable and so I don't know. But when you've gone through this process, you're not going to look at that and you're like, you know what? I know what I have. When you've gained value within yourself, you've earned it, you've grown it, you can see it in other people. And then so now you can see temptation, like that person. Like for me, I've changed who I respond to in my DMs. And how much time I spend on my social medias, and I've changed like how much time I give to certain people, and when I learned to recognize when men just want my attention and they're just time wasters, because those will be people that come around. If and when I ever do find a person for me, the last thing I want to do is like find my person of value and then lose it because of an attention seeker or a time waster. And that's what I'm learning along this path, is what is for me and what is not. That's what we're meant to do, the refining process. That's the diamond. The diamond is valuable. People don't see the coal as valuable, but inside is a diamond, right? So like, you got to do the work to get to the diamond. And in a relationship, you got to do that too. And you can't just think like, I'm just going to sit here and something's going to fall into my lap. If something falls into your lap, that's fast energy. That's Amazon energy. You know, if it's too easy, that's a problem, right? So easy access, past patterns. Slow, challenging, frustration. It'd be weird if the frustration energy doesn't show up when you're growing, because you know, it makes sense. You want to get to where you're going, you're impatient, and that is a sign of growth. You're doing something different because you're like, oh, I hate this. If you don't think, God, I hate this, then you're not growing. I mean, I guess you can feel like that either way, but I know I have what I call them growing pains. When I'm in a situation and I have to do something different, or I got to take the time to learn something, or you know what, this is like setting my passwords and I didn't write it down in my password book, and then wishing I did take the time to organize my passwords by updating my password book, and then I'm trying to get something done, and now I have to wait during the day to call them to discuss a situation, and not, you know, I could have done it online myself had I figured out that password and written it down and updated it, instead of just writing on a scrap piece of paper that I probably threw out. Time savers. Organization is time savers. Organizing sucks, but you know what? It's not fun necessarily, but it's part of the process, and it's necessary to be successful. And taking the time to organize and clean up and keep your place clean and organized. You know, I have a pile of blankets I have to take to the dry cleaners because they're duvet covers and they're pillows, and I want to use them. And my washing machine sucks for pillows, and I'm like, okay, I do want to clean all those big blankets, and it's hard to do in my machines, but like, do I want to go to the laundromat? No, I do not. That feels like a waste of time. But you know what? Is it putting my space together? Yes. Does my space put together make me feel better? Yes. Also yes, right? Does it clear up my head and de-stress me? Yes. If I'm overstressed, that's a win, right? So we got to make time to take time for some of these things where it feels like I don't have time to do this because I got to be focusing on videos and work. But you know how to work too hard. This is like a process. At one point, depending on where you are at in the phase of it, like at one point you have to learn, like you were overworking, then you went into over resting, and now you got to bring yourself back and find the middle grounds. And that can be challenging because you still have the memories from the past of what overworking looks like, and that fear of not being enough. So you got to be careful not to fall into that fear, but then also not get too comfortable. And that's what the settling agitation kind of, you know, it ruffles your feathers to say, hey, wake up. You know what? Okay, let's keep it moving. You got too comfortable. So that's what it is. So I hope that was helpful. If you have more questions, put them in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're interested and finding out more about this. And yeah, I will see you in the next one, and take care. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your support.